Hello, everyone. Good morning, or whatever it is. I should unmute myself in here so you guys can hear. There we go. Hi. Apex Dental, thank you for the follows. Appreciate it.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Let me make sure this music isn't too loud. All right. You guys will have to let me know if the music is too loud in comparison to our voices. Just let me know. I'll turn it down. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell. So, how are you guys doing?
Pretty good. Excited for tonight.
Excited to chat about our adventures last weekend. Sweet. Me too. I had a bit of a slow start to my morning, but feeling a little better now that I've had some breakfast.
Oh.
I'm also realizing how much cat hair is on that pillow. That pillow is a cat bed, just so you guys know. I don't use that pillow for my face.
No, literally, like, there's, like, a saying for me. Like, it's like, okay, you gotta put that roller in action.
Yeah, I usually, like, dust them off. I have one right there, and then one in my bedroom. And they're all three just, like, basically cat beds because they love those pillows. And I usually dust off as much of the hair as I can and like throw them in the wash like every few months. And it does the job. It's just extra fluff. That's one way to put it. The music is good? Okay, good. Thank you. All right.
Oh, yeah. Let me see if anybody like submitted some questions last time. I actually have not checked.
Yeah, do we have any burning questions? So for those of you who are joining that may not know exactly what's going on here, we gather once a week to do Vampire the Masquerade, which is a tabletop RPG like role-playing game. And we started 3 weeks ago, and every Monday night, it's Monday for you guys, it's Tuesday for me, we gather and basically just discuss what happened in the last episode and talk about things that happened and that we're excited about and kind of flesh out more details with you guys that we can't do while we're role-playing. So this is the time we get together. Yeah, I'm from the future. I live in South Korea, so it's Tuesday morning for me. It is 9:30 in the morning here on Tuesday. So welcome to the future. We actually have 4 different time zones in this group. It's super fun when we were trying to plan things at the beginning. And everybody was like, wait, what time is it for you? It's that's this time for me. And
Yeah, and then daylight savings.
Yeah, that fucked us up.
And apparently, one thing I didn't know, Korea does not believe in daylight savings.
Negative.
So they don't change it. So like, yeah, that was interesting. The more you know.
Yep.
It was a cluster there for a while.
Everyone was a little confused for a few minutes.
I
But it's
wouldn't
okay,
mind
we
if
got
the
there.
world. I wouldn't mind if the world took that example and just stopped the whole day's light saving. Like fuck.
Agreed.
Especially when you get 1 hour less to sleep.
Yeah, I get it. Like living in Florida and being like close to the beach and things like that, like I get why it happens because like in the summer you have more time before like the sun goes down. So I get it, but at the same time it's like, would this really affect you if it was not an hour difference? No, probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Especially if you didn't know any different, you would just be used to it. Arizona doesn't change their time. I don't know if you guys knew that, but Arizona doesn't do daylight savings. So when my ex moved from Arizona to Florida, she was like, what is this nonsense? Like, why are we changing times? Like, it was so funny.
Yeah.
She was so confused. Never liked daylight savings. Yeah, that's how it is in Florida. I mean, America, not all the states do it. Most of them do, but I think there are a few exceptions, like Arizona. I think there's like one or two others that don't do it.
For those who have it, the real question is, did you guys ever
This song is
get
fucking annoying.
late to school because of it?
All the time. And I've been late to work
Whenever before like smart phones, yeah.
Yeah.
All the fucking time.
It was always this whole
the
thing of
fucking
like
time.
going around the house and changing all of the clocks the night before. Yeah. Like kids these days
Yeah.
don't know that struggle because your cell phone
they
just
don't.
does it in the middle of the
Yeah.
night. And then it's like,
Yeah, your phone
surprise,
just,
you
like,
forgot.
Your phone, your computer just automatically does it, and I'm like, that's nice. I
Yeah.
didn't grow up with that. I
Nope.
had to like type it in and reset the whole thing.
Go to the clock on the oven, hold it down, reset the microwave time, go into your bedrooms and reset your alarm clocks. Yeah. Kids don't understand the struggle.
I mean, I think that was the only day that we were allowed to be late at school was the day after the time change.
Even the teachers are like, yeah, it was late too, don't worry.
Monte. That's old school. That's retro right there. I love it.
Yeah, I had a regular alarm
Dude,
clock
those
for a long
things
time
were
too.
Fucking loud as fuck. Though.
Oh
Oh my god.
And that was like
For
your
real,
only option. It was just
traumatizing.
this like, yep, loud ass.
No, you
I
guys
still
don't
have
know.
it right
like,
there.
there you go.
Whack.
I literally like I had. Do you remember like it was like the generic like square ones that were actually with the like. It wasn't digital. It was like the actual. How do you say it? The watches like that with the with. How do these?
The dial hands.
Dial.
What is it called?
Fuck
Wow.
English. I have no idea. Like the things that
Analog.
indicate the hour.
Analog. Yeah, that's it. Analog
Yeah,
clock.
analog clock. Thank you. And like it was like square, and it came in different like colors, and it was like beep 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 beep, like that, and it was like the most freaking annoying thing. I literally like threw 2 of them, like, and smashed 2 of them
Guys.
at least, because like it was horrible. I would just like be like like just immediate response, fuck no. Don't
Every
fucking scream
time-
at me in the morning.
Sorry, I'm having a scroll moment. Every time I stream, I see this like line of gray hair that I have. I don't see it any other time, but it always shows up so
love it.
well in my stream.
love
It's
it.
just like, bam, I'm here, bitches. What's up? Oh my god. That
What is Christmas spirit?
Uh-oh. I forgot to disable those. It was whenever I had all my Christmas decorations and I would put on like a Santa thingy. Sorry,
always,
I don't
like,
have
Like give back the points, I think.
I don't have my Christmas festivities anymore. I need to change those to other things. Okay, so let's dive into this conversation here.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Let's just start out with
Maybe a little like synopsis of what happened.
okay, we can do that. So last episode, if you weren't here, we're gonna catch you up real quick. Last episode, we started out at the safe house because our coterie has been compromised. They're being followed by people. So they're now at this safe house location. And that's where we started out. We had this kind of intense little interaction with Colette, like giving this little speech to Alejandro and Sparta, which we'll go into more detail in a few minutes. So that kind of, everything started like a little intense and emotional. And then we left the safe house and we went to meet Lindsay, right? Yes.
Yeah.
We went to meet Lindsay, and Lindsay gave us some information and told the coterie that we would be investigating this purist group that is on the loose. So then we followed up with someone that she connected us with, Henry, who is from California, where this group originated. And we got some information about the group from him and who we could possibly reach out to. Then we met with Lindsay again. Met back up with Lindsay at her house. That's when Lindsay broke the news that Ronaldo would not be continuing with the coterie, and that the coterie was no longer welcome to stay in the Tremere domain. So they are now staying in the safe house, which is in the Ventru domain, which is under Catalina. So if we fuck that up, probably not the best thing for our coterie.
No.
I don't think we want to piss Prince Catalina off. We already pissed off her best friend, Imani, so we should probably tread lightly. And then we left Lindsay's house after we all said goodbye to Ronaldo. And that's when we noticed that these two vehicles were following us. They followed us to this kind of abandoned area that Colette led the group to. And they abandoned one of their vehicles and they left in the other vehicle. That's when our coterie decided to go and inspect the van that was left behind. One thing led to another, and Sparta opened the trunk, which caused a little explosion, and little pellets of fire bullets exploded everywhere. And then basically our coterie took off so that Lindsay could come in and kind of clean everything up and control the scene. They drove around for a little while to make sure no one was following them, and then eventually found their way back to the safe house for the night.
And that's, where we left off.
Yep. That's where we left.
Mm-hmm.
Also, before I forget, Monte, kind of I don't know, gave a suggestion because I was talking about maybe recording a little audio to play maybe while the screen is going, if that makes sense, the starting soon screen with a little synopsis we were talking about, but Monte added to that, and he was like, it would be super cool to have the characters tell the story from their perspective, so that the people also get a little bit of the personality, how they are getting, the thing. I think it would be super cute. So it can be an audio, or we can post it, but I think if people are listening to it, would be cool.
That'd be cool.
It would be cute.
I like that
So
idea.
I can start with it. I need to send you a few things anyway from the session, so I'm gonna be working on it probably on Thursday, because I'm not streaming on Thursday. Streaming tomorrow, Wednesday, then taking a break on Thursday, streaming on Friday and Saturday, and then taking a break on Sunday.
And then we we'll switch off each week, and new person will do it.
So it can be us, us three, but for example, if you wanted to do it from Colette, or somebody that has been in the group too, that would be cool to kind of give a little insight on the NPCs as well. I think like if we rotate also, it's not like super, but like I don't want to put it on you too, Jenna, because like you already have to organize and do other shit. You know what I mean? So it's up to you if you want to be involved.
No, I like it.
Like it's fine.
I think it's cool.
But I think it's cute. I
think
it's a cute idea.
I do like that idea a lot.
Yeah.
Let's talk about favorite moments real quick, and I will be right back so one of you guys can start. Okay.
I mean, what do you guys think?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I feel like there were so many like significant moments throughout like last episode, because it was a lot slower, especially at the beginning, but emotionally it wasn't slow at all. Like emotionally it was like a roller coaster. So like I feel like
it always is.
Yeah, it always is. But I feel like we got a lot more into like character development rather than like super progressing the story, which is one of the things why, and one of the reasons why I love RPing within the world of Vampire the Masquerade, because you end up doing so much of that. Your reactions and your emotions and all of that like are such integral parts of the whole role-playing experience. So I just freaking love it. So I don't know, like I actually loved the moment where Alejandro again exploded on Eden, and then like Colette had this whole like speech afterwards. Like I really liked the whole interaction, how everybody was involved, and like how it kind of affected everybody, and like the exchange of different perspectives. I loved that moment. I think that was my favorite.
I agree, and Jenna actually said it best. Like I love the dynamic that's building where you two are like the teenagers, and Sparta and Colette are almost like the parents, just trying to get you guys to stop fighting. I mean,
sometimes literally like Sparta will like
Yep.
Let's not talk about we'll talk about it, but like I think that was also another top moment for me where I was literally like face planting so hard. I think I did this actually during the RP. I was like, oh my fucking god, why?
And he was just like, he forgot to check the fucking truck. God damn it, and just runs out.
Oh my god. Yeah, we'll go back to that moment because I actually have something very interesting to say about that.
But for sure, my favorite was when you two were going at it, and then me and Colette just started talking to him and trying to calm his ass down.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that moment. And yeah, like your just ingenuity of your character sometimes, it's like, you know, he doesn't really think about it. He's just like, yeah, whatever, like just let's do it. It's really funny, like the dead but not very responsible in his decisions.
You're kind of like Homer Simpson. They're if you got one of dad to be compared to, I think Homer, Peter Griffin, maybe. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, amazing.
I mean, to anyone who's watched The Simpsons, you guys should know that Homer's
he loves his kids,
tally.
But he's not smart.
No. I actually never watched that show.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I've never been into adult cartoons.
Like, maybe 10 seasons or whatever. Like when I was in Italy growing up, I didn't catch like the latest 10 years of it.
And Disney Plus covers it.
But no, we were saying that my favorite moment, and Sparta's too, Steve's too, it was the whole like Alejandro and Eden explosion followed by the very deep talk with Colette.
I really liked that moment too. I think that Colette kind of stepped in as like a voice of reason in that moment, of like the point she was trying to make of like, she's not trying to challenge you. She's not like trying, that's just like how you're perceiving her, and you're like perceiving it that way, so then you're reacting that way, but like that's not actually like what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
And I think she was like a little bit of like a voice of reason, and like could kind of be straight up with Alejandro, but not like in a way where she now is challenging Alejandro. You know what I mean? Like she was just trying to be like, let's see this from a different perspective. But yeah, I really liked their talk at the little lounge, that cigar lounge. I like Colette.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I really like Colette.
Yeah, Colette's awesome.
Yeah, speaking of Colette, let's talk about Colette's little speech at the beginning of the night.
I want to know what Memzi's favorite moment is.
Okay. Go ahead.
On something just... my favorite moment. I mean, the speech, the conversation was definitely at the top, and the fact that Sparta blew up.
Yeah.
As he.
Oh.
Emphasize why. But those were probably the best, my favorite moments. And in a weird way, Ronaldo being written off was kind of an interesting moment, because it gives a further development, because obviously Alejandro knows for a fact it was his fault. He's not even sugarcoating it, and he said that too. I think it was Calais said that too.
Yeah.
We both know that was my fault. It wasn't anyone else. So
yeah, I like that talk too. Where like Colette was like, okay, it's like about how you take it and like progress from here. It's not about like what you did, because everybody fucks up.
Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do going forward? Yeah, you made a mistake, but like that mistake doesn't necessarily need to define you or this group. So what are we gonna do to make the best of it going forward? Yeah, Colette's very philosophical in her thoughts and the way she thinks, and I think the more that you guys are with her and around her, the more of those type of moments you're gonna have with her, of like, yeah, you fucked up, but what are you gonna do about it? Like, this is your chance to, in a way, redeem yourself.
Yeah, prove yourself.
Learn from the situation. True. Don't fuck up again. You can dwell in it and not let it change you, or you can let it change you and better you and make a better choice next time. And that's like how she is as a whole person, which that was part of like her little speech at the beginning. She kind of touched on that a little, of like, yeah, with her like comparing herself to Alejandro in the way that she did, and being like, I used to be just like you. Like, I used to be that like fiery rebel without a cause. But she learned, okay, like I can still feel this way and be this kind of person, but I have to refine it so that I'm not just like doing stupid things because I think it's right, you know, and then it gets me in trouble. And she still does what she feels right is right. She still lives that kind of life and grows as that kind of person, but it's a lot more refined than just blowing off the handle and, you know, creating situations that are going to get herself in trouble. Because, like she mentioned, she made a lot of mistakes when she came to the city, and one of them almost got her killed, which is an opportunity now for you guys to be like, what the fuck did you do? Like, what happened? Because she literally talked about how, on that night, Catalina basically spared me. Like, because Catalina saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. She saw a potential in me. And she decided to let me live and see how that potential might grow. And now, as you guys are connecting more and more with Colette, you are going to see that she does play a vital role in the city. She's not like a member of the Camarilla or anything, like in the sense of holding any type of titles, but she definitely is a very trusted person, especially whenever it comes to Lindsay, because of the work that she's done and how she's lived in the city for the last few years that she's been there. So yeah, she, I think that her little speech was a good way to open the door for lots of little conversations and development for her as a character, but also for you guys to like start asking questions about her like experiences in the city, because she also talked a lot about the city and its leaders and how much they care. And, like, her bringing up the point of, like, Catalina's entire bloodline lives in this city. Like, that's a lot of people that are really important to Catalina. So, of course, she's going to be this super intense person that, like, always is making sure that shit's getting done correctly, because she's got a whole bunch of family, basically, that she has to protect and keep alive. So it's a big deal for her. So yeah, a lot of good like little nuggets to just kind of like plant there that can branch off into something more as conversations come up in the future, which is always fun to do with conversations in role play. You're like, I'm just gonna put this here and see what you do with it. We'll see what comes of that, if anything. So that's kind of what Colette's speech was like little nuggets of things that can bring up other stories. But the reason she did that, so just to explain for Fenice and also anybody else that missed it. So what we were talking, like referring to, was when Alejandro and Sparta, this was after the blow up with Eden and Alejandro, before you went to go and change into your disguise and whatever. Colette and Ronaldo had gotten into the car, and Alejandro and Sparta were standing outside of the car having this conversation with each other. And basically Alejandro was just like talking about how he's sick of like being in like with these people that are throwing it in his face that he doesn't have any rights here or whatever. I don't know how all he worded it, but he was basically like dogging Ronaldo and Imani and like all of these little situations that had happened through the night of him like being put in his place that's really what it was. And he was upset about it, and he was like having this conversation and like venting to Sparta, but the windows were down in the car, so Colette and Ronaldo heard the entire conversation. And that's why when everybody got in the car and started to leave, Colette and Ronaldo were just like completely silent and just kind of like, wow, like this guy really doesn't appreciate what he has. Like he doesn't appreciate what has been given to him, you know. And that's how they kind of took it, especially like Ronaldo being the one who has put his neck out for this guy. This guy's living on his property, you know what I mean? Like Ronaldo's the one that's been taking all of the risks for this group, and now you're gonna like get mad because I told you, I put you in your place on my property. Like really? So, but Ronaldo's not the type that's gonna like confront, obviously, which he didn't. Which some RP explanation of what happened is behind the scenes is basically Ronaldo connected with Imani and had a conversation about everything that was going on throughout that night and all of the little tiffs that happen with Ronaldo or with Alejandro, and Alejandro leaving the group and storming off and throwing a hissy fit and all of that kind of stuff. He basically relayed all of that information to Imani, which then upset Imani because she's like, we've got people, someone was watching us the night before. We don't know what they saw. We don't know what they heard. We don't know who they are. We don't know why they're on our property. And this group is putting us in danger. And then now we have like basically this little brat that is complaining. So she was just like, no. And that's kind of like what happened behind the scenes. And then Imani had a conversation with Lindsay about the group and the coterie, because Lindsay basically is who you guys report to, obviously. So then Imani was like, yeah, I'm not okay with this anymore. Sorry. Like, I was at first and everything was cool, but you got to figure something else out. This isn't going to work for me.
Yeah.
So, whoops.
I mean, I think for the people, you know, that knows me, that have you know, seen the stuff that I stream, I think the best way to give you guys an idea on how Alejandro is pretty much look at when I used to stream GTRP. Look at Alex. That's pretty much that's pretty much how I play Alejandro now. So for a couple of the people that I know were by on the stream, to give you guys an idea on how Alejandro is, he's a dick.
Which actually leads to a good question. What was your guys' most surprising or shocking moment?
Same for you guys in the chat that were watching. Is there something that happened that you were like, oh no?
I think it was Colette showing, you know, that vulnerable side, that kind of like,
yeah, like the grounded.
yeah, like it surprised Alejandro definitely, because it's like Alejandro has been rough on her and said flat out, you forgot where you came from. The day before, and so that speech kind of surprised him as well as me, because I was like, player was thinking like, okay, we're gonna do this morning RP and we're probably gonna meet Lindsay, and you know, and so that pretty much took me by surprise.
I think it showed another layer to Colette. Because she so far has been really, like, what's a word to describe her? She's like no nonsense. She's just like, she can be really abrasive at times, and like she just says what's on her mind. But that her like bringing that vulnerability that she brought in that speech, especially like the moment when she brought up her mom, and like, I would give anything to spend the next 500 years holding my mom's hand, like little moments like that of like, it showed her humanity, I think. And it showed her like that she does still have a connection to humanity. And she's found that connection through the people in this city, which is what she was saying, like, was unexpected to me. I didn't expect for this to happen. I didn't expect to find these people and to care this much, and you know what I mean? Like, that, and that vulnerability, I think, is something that she needed as a character, and she needed to display, and like, hey, I'm not just this, like, I'm not just the muscle of the group. You know, I actually care. There's other levels to me.
For me, it definitely has to be when we got banned from the Tremere. It both in character and
I was
out.
gonna say
I was
the same
so
thing.
shocked. Like, I was speechless for a second. I didn't know how to react. I was like, oh my God. We just lost Ronaldo and got banned from an entire domain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how to react.
Yeah, I knew that either Ronaldo was going to drop off or Colette, and I was trying to I didn't know when. And I was trying to figure out, okay, who do I want to stay? Who fits in better with the group? You know, and I think that Ronaldo is not the type that, like, Ronaldo has a lot of good skills and abilities, and, you know, he does bring a lot to the table. But I think with our group and the types of situations our group is going to constantly get themselves into, Ronaldo's not a good fit for being with that group. You know what I mean? Because he just does things so differently than how everybody else in the group does, that it's just like he would be constantly like thrown in these situations that won't be fitting to his character. So I was like, that's a thing to consider.
Colette
And
definitely fits in with the dynamic better.
right, I feel like Colette is more quick on her toes, can adapt, can you know, react better to situations.
Doesn't get mesmerized by fire bullets.
Fire bullets, yeah. So when I decided that, I was like, okay, how can I like get Ronaldo to exit? And then like my wheels were kind of turning. Is that when we started the session, I actually didn't know how I was going to do it. And I didn't know if I was going to do it that session or not. So like the whole time I was kind of like trying to think about it. And that's why I was like, okay, I think I can make this work. And that's why I had like Ronaldo really withdrawn from everybody kind of that entire time. And he was like constantly just like, oh, I'll wait in the car. Like he wasn't really super involved with everything that night. And then I was like, well, this leads up to like a really good way of doing this. So when we met with Lindsay the second time, I was like, this'll work. I got an idea. And because that happened, I feel like it kind of tied into the role play that was going on, and it made sense to do it the way that it was done. Instead of it just being like, okay, Ronaldo, you're out. Like, sorry.
True.
Yeah. Because
it was a really good moment.
Yeah, it made it feel more natural to the like role play that was already happening. So, and I can't really answer this what surprised me, so I feel like it's different for me, because obviously there's things that you guys do that might surprise me, but not in the same type of ways. I think if there's anything that maybe surprised me, was that when that second, well, I guess the talk that they had after the Eden and Alejandro thing, I was actually surprised that like Alejandro like listened to Colette. Like,
me too, actually.
He wasn't really argumentative with her. Like, he was like, something had changed with him in his interaction with Colette. And that kind of surprised me, because I expected him to just kind of be really defensive. Like, he was obviously like defending himself in a way of like saying why he was doing what he was doing, but he wasn't doing it in a way of like I'm not going to reason with you. Like, I'm not going to see your points. You know what I mean? So the fact that he was even like open to have like a conversation was kind of surprising to me. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome.
What's up, Serendips?
I think for like, I think that has a little bit to do with what happened earlier that night. Alejandra was like, okay, she hasn't forgotten who she is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
I think he gained a little bit of respect for her in that moment.
yeah.
I agree.
I think that's one of the biggest reasons why he managed to talk to Colette, and I think like I can honestly say Colette is probably going to be one of the biggest reasons why Alejandro stays put, because he's like, he doesn't like Eden, flat out. Or does he like her or doesn't like her? That's the question, because maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. It's, I guess, something I used to say a lot back in the day. Found it in the RP.
Two teenagers.
She definitely strikes a nerve for him. That is very clear.
She definitely did say something that. Ooh.
I think it's funny that Colette's like, I think she's fucking annoying too. Like, Colette's like, get over it. Like, yeah, she annoys me too. She asks a lot of fucking questions. Like, but
Better
Colette's like
asking questions than just, you know, being
fucking
dumb
up.
and useless.
True,
I mean, we did learn one thing, and that's not to take advice from Eden. She might send you to somewhere to blow up, or what do you say, Sparta?
That was my own dumbass fault.
That
I
was
actually was like, don't go. I was like, did anybody check on in the truck? But I was like, well, they were kind of careful about it. Like, they're not gonna just open it like that. And I guess it didn't happen. Like,
Psych.
I don't know. Like, if
Oh,
I had
boy.
approached it, I would have been like, you know, but I don't have any investigation. I don't have any larceny. That's almost larceny too.
But
It's like
my question
lockpicking,
is,
like,
you had
figuring out like mechanisms and stuff like that. I feel like it
Right.
would be more larceny too.
wouldn't your vision be able to see that the car was rigged though,
no.
No,
or is it just heat
it's
sensors?
like
It's like magical stuff.
it's like you can see stuff that it's hidden, but it's like kindred. It's not like objects or anything.
It's like
Like, it works very well for people that are trying to like use obfuscate too, because like they have to do a counter roll. So like, if they were obfuscated, I would see them. And usually like vampires that don't have auspex, they can't like really like see somebody that is obfuscated. So
yeah, it doesn't show that kind of stuff. It's more so detecting kindred or other magical creatures that are using some sort of unnatural means to hide themselves.
yeah,
So yeah,
I can like, there's one like discipline, like one level of auspex like later on where like you can touch an object and see like the story of the object, and depending on how many successes you get, like you get more span of like that object's life. So whatever is surrounding that object that you're touching, or like something like whomever handled that object, stuff like that, you can see that shit too.
So what about you, Finn? Was there any moments that surprised you?
Yeah, no, I agree with Steve. I think it's like the one that I was like, it's the Imani and like Ronaldo going and leaving, even because like for Eden, she missed that.
Yeah.
She wasn't there for like that conversation that they were having.
Right.
So like, I think she was changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was
Yep.
changing in the
putting
bathroom.
her disguise or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So like she didn't hear it. So like she's kind of like nobody like told her what happened.
Right.
You know, like I remember like she came into the car and like it was like dead silence and she was like, well, this is awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody tells Eden anything.
Yeah. That's why she's asking questions. And nobody's even giving her like the right freaking information. Like letting her call like celerity and auspex as ultra vision, super speed.
And like I told her, oh, you have fucking super hearing now?
Yeah. Super hearing.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, yeah, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
She'll
Although to
learn
be
with
fair,
time.
my character doesn't know what any of that is in the first place. So to him, it makes sense.
Yeah, for him it's like, yeah, sure. Like Steve is kind of on my same wave. We talk more like the same language. We're like learning still.
Yeah.
We're like babies.
Which makes sense because Sparta is still a newer vampire. He's obviously not as new as Eden, but he is
And
newer.
again, like he's a gangrel, so like Memzi
Hasn't had much
like
experience.
even less like of a contact with like other clans, honestly.
Yeah.
Like they are very separated with everybody and they tend to be solitary within their like clan.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, unless he had a lot of experience, thought, like through the family or whatever, the pack, you know, however they call it, he wouldn't know.
Pretty
So
much.
it makes sense.
He just spent all his time in the swamps hunting.
Yep.
Simple folk.
Simple folk, simple life. Respect.
I thought it was funny that Alejandro like pulled Colette aside and was like, do you think that the Galeo sisters could like teach Eden how to use these things? And I thought it was so funny because Alejandro has fleetness. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you know how to use that ability. You could teach her yourself. But like Colette doesn't know that about him because he's never used it around her.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know he has that.
That's something I came to think about. I think it was before the session, Sunday. Alejandro has not really used a lot of powers
No.
since we started.
Neither has, well, I guess Sparta has a little bit more.
One by accident and one on purpose.
Yeah. I think that is one thing, like, don't forget that your character has those abilities, you know what I mean? Like, you have things that you can use to your advantage in certain situations, so use them.
Don't shy away from it because, like, at the end of the day, that's also, like, how in-game you would probably, like, if you ever choose to, like, spend points to level up disciplines, like it would make sense that you would like expend on that discipline that you already know and have used a lot.
So if you haven't used that at all, it wouldn't make sense for you to put points in it, you know. But yeah, I thought it was funny because I was like, wait, doesn't Alejandro have that ability? But Colette doesn't know that in character, so I couldn't say that. I even like looked at your character sheet during that conversation and was like, but also Alejandro is not a fan of Eden, so it's not like he'd be like, hey, I want to teach you a few things.
Yeah.
But I also thought it was funny that he just assumed that the Galeo sisters have it. And I was just like,
Yeah, like
I'm like, you never know what abilities they actually have. But I thought it was funny that he just like assumed that they would know all about that. No, it was just kind of like, okay, whatever. Colette's not gonna like be like, they don't have that. Like, she's not gonna necessarily like expose what they can do or anything, but she's just like, maybe Eden should be asking for that help, not like Alejandro saying Eden needs help.
Well, I mean, she did. Like, she was like, hey, like, the first night, like, she could put, like, being like, okay, like, so, like, is there somebody that can, like, tell after she discovered what she was? Like, I
Mhm.
think it was more, like, throughout the entire second episode, she was like, can we go, like, visit my type? So, like, I can figure out a little bit more. And then, like, that didn't happen because Ashley was just, like, dragging me around and showing me off to the other Toreadors.
Yeah,
that she was
Eden's like, I
having
have all
over.
these questions. Ash is like, cool, but later.
Yeah, but later. Like, not
We're
right
entertaining right now.
Like-
This is a party.
Even Eden was like, okay, fine. I guess let's go into the social, like, butterfly mode.
Yeah, I thought that was funny how she like answered your one question that you asked right then, and then she was like, we'll talk about that later. Like, we've got more pressing
Like,
things to
zero
do.
Zero fucks about it.
But then again, you also have to take in consideration of which you don't know in character how long she's been a vampire. So it's like
True.
she's probably not in touch with being a new vampire because she's been a vampire for so long. So it's like,
Yeah.
you have all the time in the world to learn this. Let's go meet people.
Yeah. You need to make your, like, connections and networking now.
This is much more important. Oh, I love Ashley. I love how Ashley, like, at the end of the night, she's like, oh, hi! And then she just, like...
Yeah, that moment was funny. That moment was hilarious. I actually didn't expect it. That was, like, a little touch right there that I was like, yeah, that's on brand. It makes sense.
And
It
she
totally
just
makes
kept, like... But that's how, like, those kind of people are. Like, they show face so much. Like, I always need to be nice. I always, like... And that's how she is, like... on the surface, like every time you're gonna see her, like she might not obviously want to go and spend time with Alejandro and Sparta, but she needs to like make sure she's presenting herself in the right way.
Yeah.
Which is so totally Ashley in a nutshell, of showing face. And oh, Ashley,
She's definitely not gonna plop down on the couch and just chill with Alejandro and Sparta.
No.
That's for sure.
No.
not at all.
No, I don't think so.
It's like, I'm gonna go upstairs and wait for my boo thing. Thank you. We'll
I got
talk
Mortal
later.
Kombat, so you can do whatever the fuck you.
Alejandro with his PlayStation. Can we get like a PlayStation or something? I totally felt like he was like asking his mom, like, Mom, can I have a PlayStation? Colette's like, sure. Whatever. Like, I'll get you whatever.
Hilarious.
I forgot what I was gonna... There was something that I wanted to... Oh, I guess I already talked about the Ronaldo and what happened with him.
Yeah.
So you guys can now kind of understand what happened behind the scenes with him. And like you saw, he was upset. Like, you know, he didn't like the way that everything happened. And not only that, but like it's a big deal for him to have like put himself out there, and like basically spoken for you guys and been like, okay, I know you don't trust them, but I know you trust me, so you can trust me. And then that kind of like blew up in his face. So it was kind of like,
Well, what
he
the
takes
fuck I
it
was doing even this for.
right.
Yeah, to
He
get
takes it really
blamed and, like,
personally.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, like, you know, and like plus like you were saying, like, you know, like we're encountering people that even though he is a very old vampire and very powerful, it's just not the right environment for him.
Right.
Like, he would really be in danger because again, like if he was the one getting shot by those 3 like fire bullets that like hit Steve,
He would have been
would've
dead.
dead.
he would have been dead.
Yeah.
He
For
would
sure.
have been 100% dead. So like obviously, like, you know, it's like, okay, like I pretty much almost died, like, you know, because I was sticking my neck for you guys, like, and this is what you're giving me.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Speaking of danger, how real is the hunter threat?
What do you mean?
Well, the hunter, like, you mean the group of fanatics that are like
The purist?
hunting us? The purists?
Is that who you're talking about?
I guess like they are vampire
Yeah.
hunters. Like that's like
They're
what
a
they
very
are.
big threat. They
Definitely.
have proven in the last 2 interactions that the group has had with them that they have some serious weapons, bless you, that can do a lot of damage and possibly kill someone. Like we were saying with the first gun that guy used, if he would have shot Ronaldo wouldn't have been able to absorb all of the damage that Sparta did. So Ronaldo probably would have died because he would have been too damaged to heal fast enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're a pretty big threat. And just in the what they have available to them. And the fact
At
that
least from our knowledge,
they don't know who they are.
Yeah, we haven't
like-
really figured out 100% like how everything is working. Like they have something on the kindred that we are still trying to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
So like we
Exactly.
don't know really what's going on with that. So that makes it even scarier, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yep.
and
And
it's
take
like,
it this
we don't
way.
know.
I'm thinking
I'm gonna
about
go
putting
to the
more
bathroom really fast. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm thinking about putting more points into fortitude just to survive these assholes.
I think like the thing is we don't know who we barely know who they are. And for Alejandro, he's like his way of thinking right now. We've seen 2 types of bullets, 3 with the explosion. His mentality is obviously going to be a cop mentality. Like, what other things are they dealing with? What other weapons do they potentially have?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're already shown three types of different bullet types. What's next?
And they're
Right.
smart and they're willing to set up traps.
Exactly. It's like what
Which is why
else is out there? We don't know. What other types of things can they use? And now they have crafted some sort of bomb. So it's
Exactly.
like it's not just guns that they have. Like
It's a
they
bomb.
have figured out how to turn these little things and put them inside of bombs that, you know, could cause even more damage. So yeah, there's the threat for that group is definitely really high. And until the coterie starts finding out more information, and how to like track down this group, then I think that threat will continue to be pretty high. Because there's just too many variables right now to really know what they're up against. So, and you gotta also remember if you know the history of the lore of Vampire the Masquerade and the Second Inquisition, the Second Inquisition like wiped out like literally whole clans. So that's the kind of threat that this has the potential of being if things like get out of hand with this radical group. And that's why like older vampires might be more afraid of this group. Hey, thank you so much for the follow. They might be more afraid of this group than younger vampires because they were closer to the Second Inquisition when it actually happened. Because a lot of vampires didn't live through that experience. Obviously, some did because we wouldn't have vampires anymore. But older vampires, is that Steven and Chad? No, that's not Steven and Chad. Different people. But older vampires kind of lived through that experience or were kind of closer to that happening, like someone like Catalina. Catalina was closer to that happening. So she didn't live through it herself, but she probably heard lots of stories and even knew people that did, because a lot of the vampires that lived through that would probably be in torpor because they're so old. Like they wouldn't be like up walking around chilling if they're still alive. A lot of them would kind of be in that deep sleep. But yeah.
It's definitely more real for them.
Oh yeah, they have like a lot of baggage.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they have lived like a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
well, that's how Catalina is. Like, bitch is almost 600 years old. Like,
exactly.
just imagine the shit she's gone through. Like, you you think it's a lot of what we go through in our little lifetimes. Now just times that by 5, and that's what Catalina has lived through. Because she is fucking old. Which I'm excited for Catalina to show up a little bit more. But there hasn't been a reason for her to be, like, meeting with you guys yet. Shit hasn't gotten bad enough.
True.
Yeah, I feel like she wouldn't show up unless, like, it's really, really needed. Like, she has other people that could deal with it.
Right. Yeah.
Hashtag
Or unless we
incoming
really
higher up
fuck
death.
Incoming higher up death.
Yeah, I feel like the first time she showed up, was warranted for what was going on, because obviously she's like the only one that could have made a decision in that moment of like what was going to happen with Eden. But like everything that's happened so far, like all of the little things that have happened haven't been like Prince level of needing to get involved. What do we think is the most underappreciated clan? Underappreciated clan, like in our role play or just in general? Because we haven't experienced a lot of clans in our role play.
Yeah,
we've only experienced 3. Okay, so we'll answer both ways. So in our role play, what do you guys think is the most underappreciated clan? Because we've only experienced 4 different clans. Tremere. Great. Yeah, 4? Yeah. 4.
Yeah. Well, technically, like, there's, like, Spartacus, like, Steve's character, too. Spartacus.
We've only done Tremere, Torador, Ventru, Bruja. Okay, so 5. Yeah.
Yeah, so 5, yeah. I honestly think, I don't know, maybe in this like particular chronicle, I would say definitely like brew, I guess not brew house because there's Colette, you know, but it's a difficult relationship just because of the setting of like the V5, the version that we're using right now of Vampire the Masquerade. Like most of the Bruja clan disassociated themselves from the Camarilla. So, you know, I feel like that definitely like would bring a little bit of like, I don't know, other people from the Camarilla kind of to look, take a double look at a Bruja that shows up. And like obviously gangrels, like they haven't ever like been super involved for a long time.
Right.
So again, there's like that distrust that I feel like comes from both sides, also like Brujas as well.
I feel like not, well, I guess in a way that it could fall under being underappreciated, but the stress on the relationship between Catalina personally, as like the leader of this area, and Brujas as a clan is not as high as it would be with a gangrel, just from the history of the city and what happened with the city. So it's not that she doesn't want Brujas in the city. It's just that this isn't the type of city that they would live in typically. So there's just not that many of them, because Colette's not the only Bruja that is kind of there. There are a couple of others. We just haven't encountered them, that are there for kind of like other reasons. They work alongside certain people, but it's just not very common to see that in this particular city. But when it comes to the gangrel, like, they're in a way not welcome. And for somebody like Sparta to show up, that's another reason why, like, for Sparta to show up and for somebody to like take a chance on him, not to say that Sparta has really been the cause of a lot of like the fuck ups, but for somebody to take a chance on him as a gangrel is like a big deal, because for Catalina, the relationship there would just kind of be like, I don't care what your story is, like, get the fuck out of my city, go find somewhere else to live, kind of thing, just because of the history, which we haven't dived into a whole lot. And I haven't even explained from Catalina's side and backstory how that really affects her and to what severity, because we haven't really interacted with her as a character too much. So I would say probably Gangrel out of this particular group is probably the most underappreciated, in the sense of there's a lot of mistrust or distrust there of like,
the history.
We don't really trust you. We're gonna see how this goes, but yeah, you're kind of like walking on thin ice with this group. And anybody really close to Catalina will probably understand that even more, and kind of share that feeling that she has, because of the history and because of Catalina's own personal story. Because I think Brujas are respected. And I think that is because of people like Colette that have come in and probably changed the minds.
That's why I was like, okay, there's like the Brujas, but like definitely the gangrels, because they've been disassociated from the Camarilla in general, like way before like the original version too.
Yeah.
Like they were like, this is too much drama. We like the simple life. Adios, muchachos. We're gonna survive in the woods. Like, we don't need anything else. Fuck this. So, you know,
And I think that would probably be my answer outside of our role play too. Because I feel like the gangrels bring a lot to the table. They're really good fighters, they're good protectors, they're good survivors, like, so I feel like they probably are more naturally underappreciated just as a whole. They don't hold leadership positions because they don't want them mostly, but still it's like they would be good leaders. Just because of their abilities to survive, their abilities to fight.
They just don't care enough about that.
Right.
They just don't. They're not like power hungry usually. They really are not.
It's not their thing.
It's not.
So I would say they're probably, in general, one of the more underappreciated clans. That would probably be my answer too, outside of our roleplay.
I agree as well, especially since like my character does know the history of what happened, and so he does know that he's already fighting an uphill battle just coming to the city.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely the gangrels would be the most unappreciated within our chronicle, and I'm the same way outside of the chronicle as well, because everybody just usually looks at them as thugs or hired muscle pretty much.
I feel there's actually like a good amount of people that really like gangrels because they're kind of like almost like the animalistic side of like a lot of the depictions of vampires in pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of like it's fun because all the clans kind of represent the stereotypes that vampires have been portrayed as.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that too. I think, to be honest, for me, it kind of feels like it would be Nosferatu.
I was gonna say that would be probably my close second.
Because again, Nosferatu has a lot of limits too, especially with like being outside and like doing things, you know, like normally, quote unquote, like unless you really have a disguise or like you have level 3 of the obfuscate, which is like 1,000 faces or something like that, where like you can change your appearance to like a normal looking person, kind of ugly but nothing like scary. But they always carried the aura of like a predator or something that is like weird and odd about them. So like all their social roles, no matter what, are like really difficult. So for me, vampire being very social and like a lot of that type of RP, I think it could be a little complicated for somebody playing Nos.
Yeah. I watched
people like choosing Nosferatu.
Yeah, I watched a campaign with one guy, and he used like that 1,000 faces or whatever all the time. And I was like, that would be really annoying because also obviously LA by Night, he can't like do a lot of stuff with the group because he's always got to be hidden because of his appearance. And I'm like, that would be frustrating to like always be restricted in that way.
Always having to wait in the car.
Or just like using obfuscate all the time. That's what the guy from LA by Night does. He usually separates from the group and like obfuscates and goes around and like does that.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely plays a key part in the group and he does it well, but it would be like
super well.
Annoying to like that, but you would just have to understand kind of that's what your role is in the group, you know. Serendips has a question for you, Mimsy. They said, how do you think your character works mechanically? What kind of synergies do you find with your group?
With the group? Oof. 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 Oof.
How do you belong?
How does he belong? That's
Loaded
he feel-
question.
that's a loaded question, especially if you watch the interactions that Alejandro's had. He doesn't feel like he belongs. He's, he kind of goes. He's cool with Sparta because he knows that they're outsiders. Eden, it's a weird one. It's a weird one, cause he shows that he gives a shit, but at the same time he has no problem turning around and saying 1 second that he cares, and the other second telling her to go fuck herself. Which I guess you could say Alejandro is bipolar. I think he kind of feels like he's an outsider. He kind of feels like I gotta do this shit for my own. I know I need to work with these guys, but it's a very loaded question now that I start thinking about it, because now other things are unraveling with the question, and like.
So what role do you think he fulfills, like as a group and as a whole? Not like individually, relationally with everybody, but like as a group, what role do you think he kind of fulfills?
In a way, the thinker. Not stepping into things and actually taking things a little bit more calm than. Like, calm in the sense of investigating
Finn's
and not
face.
jumping into things. And not into jumping into things like certain others. Oh,
I
here's a
mean,
door. He's
yeah,
explosive,
like
but
Steve.
he's explosive, but he's at the same time investigative. He's not dumb. He looks at other things
Relationally, he is not like that at all. But if he has a task, he's like that.
He's a catalyst. I like that. Yeah.
And Sparta's the complete opposite.
I think.
I feel like. Oh, go ahead. Jenna.
I was just gonna say I think that he is someone that's more calculated in the sense of like how he handles situations, but he, like I said, relationally he's not calculated. He doesn't care. He doesn't take the time or effort to like think about what he's doing. He just reacts. So in that way, he's not calm and cool and collected.
No, in that way, no. But
In
when
any
it comes
way.
to like work, when it comes to like trying to figure out, what other potential dangers there are, then yeah, he is more calculated.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What were you gonna say, Finn?
Don't remember.
That's why you should always go first in those situations, because I always remember.
Yeah, I need to remember sometimes that I have ADHD and I can't keep a thought for like longer than like 30 seconds.
Boop, gone.
Whatever, maybe like it's gonna come back.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's fine.
What about, I think that's a good question. So what about,
I think that
how do
I
you
really
guys
like
feel
this
about your
question.
characters? How do you think your character fits into this group? Not necessarily relationally, like I said, more so as like a group.
Like the role, the stereotypical role in like a group. Like there's, again, I'm sorry, Memsy, but this is recurring because that's what I studied. So like that's why like I kind of based my character off of like a lot of my own experience, so it would be easy for me to RP and just be very natural about it. But like I studied film and acting and directing, so like at the end of the day it's always an association to that, even like in my regular life as Fenice, But it's kind of like in movies or TV shows where like you have the group and like everybody has like a role. You know,
Mhm.
there's like kind
Mhm.
of like the nerd that is like the emotional support, or like the the protector of the group, or like all these like different roles. So I think that's that's what the question is, Steve. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thinking about it.
I would say definitely more of the protector role and definitely a protector. He's more willing to put himself out there and put himself at risk than let somebody else do it because he's quite impulsive. But
We're learning.
yeah. And he definitely likes to try to keep the group together.
Sorry.
Fucking spit. Like I try to not laugh, and then like that didn't succeed very well. Sorry, guys. Shit.
Yeah, I
But he
think
definitely
he fulfills that role pretty well. And relationally too. Like he seemed like that type of wanting to protect people from getting hurt, not just physically. I can see him being that person for everyone along the way as they get to know each other more.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little more careful and less impulsive when it comes to the relationship side.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Well, when
literally
it comes-
opposite of Alejandro.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is.
When it comes to a mission and being like fulfilling a task, he doesn't think. He just acts.
No.
When it comes to relationships, he puts a lot of thought in it.
Yeah,
And is more
I
careful.
I agree.
So
I
yeah,
agree with that.
complete opposite of Alejandro, which is funny and needed, I think.
I think my role is very clear and obvious, and I don't know if that's like, you know, it's very straightforward. Like I'm the new girl. That's literally my role in this chronicle. Like I'm the new girl. Like I didn't even go there like before this happened.
Do you even
So
go here?
yeah.
I would say
I
you're the
did it. Huh?
I said I think you fulfill the role of charm and like just being able to not immediately piss everybody off. And
But I
talk
feel
to-
like that comes with being like the new girl. Like when you're the new person in the group, like you don't want to piss people off necessarily. Like you're still trying to like figure out where you're going to land. So you're kind of like maybe
Testing
more
the waters.
friendly than you would normally be. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like that does kind of like fall into that kind of role of being
Yeah.
the new person.
The new person. Yeah. Into like the yeah.
You're like,
So-
I'm new here and I don't know
Obviously
how
it's
this is gonna go.
She's not stupid. She had to like, you know, do her own work to like get to where she got. And she's spicy. She's a fighter. And yeah, she's impulsive as well.
Yeah.
But I think it comes because she is like, she connects very deeply with people. So it's just instinctual for her to just like go and help as well. So yeah, she tends to think about things like a little bit too late after it happened. She's like, I mean, it went okay, but you know, it could have gone very wrong.
That's the more interesting thing I've seen both in Eden and Sparta is they've both been impulsive. In 3 days, they've both done like something that wouldn't be considered smart. Especially like, I think in Sparta's case, you know, he's been doing this shit for like 2 years, but still he shouldn't have. He should have had more awareness to things, Eden, on the other hand, freaking just turned a couple of hours ago. And, oh, I see someone. I'm gonna go and fucking chase. I don't know my powers, but I'm gonna fucking chase. And yeah, at that point, Alejandro could have used his fleet and chased after and stopped her. But Alejandro was like, she's gonna learn. If she gets herself killed, that's on her.
I didn't.
It didn't. But
Although in
Again,
Sparta,
it's so funny. Oh, so go ahead. Go ahead.
in Sparta's case, his impulsiveness pretty much comes because he's so confident in his ability to just survive.
Yeah.
Like, he knows.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. He's
Like I can take a hit
pretty much.
or
So
two.
oh,
he's not afraid to
Oh.
just act.
you chopped off my arm. It's only a flesh wound.
If you recover your arm, you can mend it together. It's just like gonna take a while.
You got to think about it real hard.
Yeah,
Kind of weird, but it can happen.
Right.
kind of weird.
Vampires
were
are
But no,
weird.
I was saying like it's funny that like Eden got like super reprimanded by her, like by the two boys, and then she goes in like all like her tail between her legs and just like, I'm so sorry, like to Colette and Ronaldo.
Was it
Just like,
Colette?
I'm-
Was it Imani?
It was Colette.
No, it was
Colette
Colette
and
and
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. Yeah, I came in and they were chatting, and I was like, I am so sorry. I think I did a stupid thing, and they were like, no, I think you did pretty well. All in all, like we have some information. Like, yeah, that
Good
was
job.
fine. And I'm like, and she's like,
What?
who the fuck do I believe?
The 300-year-old vampire.
Yeah, no, and that's like, you know, that's kind of why like she's been like a little bit even like pushing a little bit more, because I'm like she's having like some sort, and that's who at the end of the day why she's doing this and like trying to really push herself to help is that she's very aware, and she said it like right at the end, kind of like tossed it out there, and Colette was like, okay, it's time for me to peace out. But Eden like did mention it. She was like, you know, like I don't know if I'm gonna be spared after this, you know, like, you know,
Colette's
I'm
like, I
very
don't either.
aware- Yeah,
Gotta
I'm
go.
very aware, exactly. I'm very aware that like my presence here, it's not the best for anybody
Yeah.
in this like kindred society. So in her mind, you know, as she's been always very eager, like I said, like very hungry for like, you know, being useful and being like the best and like whatever, she's like, okay, if I am the best, then maybe like they'll keep me, you know.
If I prove my worth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of pressure on Eden to do that, honestly. Like,
definitely.
I would feel that pressure if I was her.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's why like she's trying super hard.
Yeah.
Like she's literally being like, okay, I need to be as useful as I can. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Do I need to mech truck this guy? Let's go. Do it.
Yeah.
At this point, I might die at the end of this, so might as well. You know
Whatever.
what I mean? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Put my best foot forward because I don't know if I'm going to live through this anyway. Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense for her. And I think it's like, it's kind of funny because the only person that's really established in this group is Colette. And she's the only person that doesn't really need to even think about that or consider that. And it's funny because she said that at the end of the night. And she's like, I didn't do shit. Like, like, this has nothing to do with me. Y'all are fucking up, and it's y'all's fuck up. Doesn't have anything to do with me. This is not going to be reflected badly on me. Because, you know, she's well established in the city, and it's not like something that you guys would do would necessarily change that for her. So she's kind of like, y'all need to get your shit together. Like, you can't keep doing shit like this. Eventually you're gonna run out of places to go and places that you're welcome. So I thought that was kind of funny that she kind of like threw that in there at the end of like, listen, I have a home to go to when this is all done. Y'all don't.
Right?
You might want to think about that.
It was pretty funny when Colette thought we were going to be staying with her.
Mm-hmm. She's like, oh.
She panicked ever so slightly.
Yeah, she wasn't happy about that. She didn't want you guys
not having it.
I still think that it would have been funny because one of the reasons that she didn't want that to happen is because of you guys would have been in the Galeo sisters' domain, and she's like, you guys already fucked that up once. Like, I don't want you to fuck that up with them, because then I do have to like listen to that, and that will affect my life. Like, so please. But no, you guys have been assigned to Mama's territory. So
yeah, Big Mama's territory.
Walking on eggshells.
She wasn't sending you guys to anybody else after what happened with Imani. She's like, okay, we'll see how this goes on in my backyard. Oh, Catalina.
They can learn their lesson, because if not, chop, chop, chop.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Because
like,
Imani could have handled that whole situation a little differently, but it's not really in her character to react aggressively. She just more was like, get this away from me. I don't want this to be my problem anymore.
Yeah.
But I can't say the same for Catalina. It's not really her approach to things.
Imani is like, I don't need this negative energy in my life.
Ventru are... Don't even get me started. They're fucking amazing.
Those are the Jenna's favorite.
My favorite. I love them. They're fucking awesome. They're so cool. That's why, like, I wish that... Obviously, Lindsay is Ventru, so you see her a lot. But we don't see her a lot as like an actual character, like that's like developing. She's just kind of like there in the situations that she needs to be there to answer questions and give information and shit like that. But I do hope that with time that'll develop a little bit more with her and like her style of leading, because she has a very distinct style of leading too, just like Catalina. And there's some like backstory history with Lindsay that will come out hopefully at some point. There's some like drama around Lindsay.
I was thinking about this like when we met her again, and after like Colette told the coterie that, you know, like all the childer of Catalina are like pretty much like the majority of them are in that domain and live there. So like I have been thinking, and also Eden, because of, I mean, she's still Toreador, guys. She loved the gossip.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she kind of like she was in the entertainment business for a while, so like that's all that it is too.
Juicy
so
gossip.
You know, like juicy gossip, and like the more you know, the more like, you know, you have power and influence. So like she understands that very much. So I feel like both in my head and Eden's head, the question is Lindsay one of the childer?
Time will tell.
So, you know, that's what I've been thinking afterwards. I'm like, maybe, you know, eventually Eden would just nonchalantly be like, so
Who's your grandma?
Who's your mama? Is your mama Catalina? And
So
then
tell me
he's
about your
shocked.
family.
Yeah, tell me about your family. Like,
She's gonna be all nosy, very Torador like.
oh yeah, I'm
Give me
pretty
that
sure,
information.
Like, actually, like the first thing like she would do is talk to Ashley.
Mm-hmm. I could definitely see that happening.
Like
you need
and
to give me the
Ashley,
scoop.
Like, yeah, like I'm like, yo, just like poke like the best thing, like just get a Toreador excited about sharing gossip and talking shit. You know.
We need
I'm like, okay.
we need a moment with Eden and Ashley trying on clothes in Ashley's huge like bedroom closet and gossiping.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going, hopefully, the fucking contacts were supposed to come in today. I have not gotten them.
Wow.
I have not checked, like, for the last, like, 6 hours, more or less. So, like, it might have come in later. Sometimes, like, they do, like, deliver the stuff in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't gotten any type of nudge on that, but hopefully they do come before Saturday. So like, you know, Ashley was there, so maybe, you know, if she's there and Lev brings all the stuff that I'm gonna send you to, I have like a notepad with all the stuff that I need to send you for the next time. Like they can probably do that for a little bit.
Have their little moment of gossiping and trying on clothes. I love
can't
it.
wait to see the costume.
I love that idea. Yeah, I think Ashley and Eden are gonna get along really well. I think that it's gonna be interesting to see how Eden's relationship with Penelope develops, just because Penelope is so closed off in comparison to Ashley. But I feel like Ashley and Eden will have like no problem being friends and hitting it off. But
yeah, and I feel like for how like I imagine and have been portraying Eden, like again, she's very like she has a good read on people. Like again, she had to develop that skill. She's very aware. So like she immediately picked up that like with Penelope is gonna be like a very slow burn.
Yeah.
So like she understands that she's not gonna push, you know, her buttons. She's just gonna go there and be like, hi, I'm here. Like, you know, I'm not a threat. Like we can be open.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm like, here, I'm gonna go back do like my own thing.
Yeah.
Like, hang out with your sister.
Yeah. Right.
Gotta warm up to her.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting with the dynamic between Ashley and Penelope because it is like at first glance it seems obvious who's like the one in control, but like is that the truth? You know what I mean? Like and the only way to really know that for a fact is to like get to know them and like how they do things and understanding the dynamic of their relationship as sisters and whatever. But because Ashley is definitely the loud one that's in front, you know, in your face, seems like she's the one making all of the decisions, but is that necessarily what's happening? Because then you have somebody like Penelope who seems really kind of standoffish, a little bit shy. She's not really in the mix of what's going on. So how big of a role does she play in this, you know, group and clan? So I think that it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of develops with them over time and interactions that you guys have with them and so on. So they're an interesting group. Like all of the Toradors are really interesting because the Toradors that live there are basically Ashley is like a celebrity. I mean, in a way, both of them are, especially because of like their practice, like what they do, like with at their gallery, and like that is known like to the human world of people want to come and like have this experience. It's like this spooky, weird experience in New Orleans where like they paint with blood, like like it's this like spooky thing that the human world is interested in just because of what it is. But so like they're kind of both kind of known for what they do, and then you bring that level of like how does that affect them as a clan. And so it's kind of in a way like think about Eden and Eden's like influence in the human world of her being this like famous person that all of these people want to be around. That's basically how Penelope and Ashley are within this clan. So like all of these people that live there in this particular clan, they're kind of like their followers in a way. So it creates a really interesting dynamic with that particular clan, because you have these two leaders, so to speak, that are like kind of held really highly by everybody that lives there with them. So it creates interesting situations for like if somebody were to like start bad mouthing the sisters, like wouldn't necessarily be a good idea in front of like other toreadors. They'd be like, fucking excuse me?
I mean,
you're talking about our queens and you need to be quiet.
the coterie does know like that the two sisters are harpies, right, in the court. I think like everybody was kind of introduced.
They would know that at some point.
Like,
yeah.
Was like, yeah, like they are important here. Like they're the ones that kind of like hold the gossip around. I think they didn't necessarily use the term.
Yeah.
Because nobody's fucking using the term. So that fucking like, and there's no books.
There's no books. I loved that part.
I love that moment.
Is there like a history book?
I was like, is there like an encyclopedia of the vampirical like fucking history? It's like, this is so inconvenient.
Everyone's like, no. Doesn't really exist. But yeah, no, they would have been there. It's actually funny that you mentioned that, because they would have been there the first night with you because the court was there. You just didn't know who they were at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, the coterie at this point, we'll just say like behind the scenes, like the actual court has likely been explained to Eden, which I'll have to send you the list that I sent them of like everybody's positions and things. But yeah, everyone, like they already know, but I feel like Eden would know at this point.
As like whatever that came out, like obviously Catalina is the prince. Like Eden does know that Lindsay's the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
They did mention that. She knows that, again, like the two sisters somehow like hold kind of like the social aspect and like, you know, how you're viewed in this city by other people. They have a lot to say.
Right.
So she doesn't necessarily know that this is an actual role assigned within the Camarilla.
Right.
But she understands that that's pretty much the role. What else? I think that's it. I think that's like the roles that she understands as of now. Like the two right terms that she heard were prince and sheriff.
Yeah.
That's it.
Those were like the only real positions that were kind of explained to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes sense though, because that's really the only things that we've had involvement with so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And Eden had a little bit of a different experience than other people that would come to the city and be presented before the court to like meet them and different things like that. It was a little bit of a different situation. So it wasn't like a let's meet everybody. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't a social thing.
yeah, it wasn't at all.
It's supposed to be an execution.
Yeah, it was literally her trial to see if she was going to live. That's what they were doing. So they weren't there to chit chat with her. And no one really cared to chit chat with her. As you could see, they all kind of like whispered among each other and kind of filtered out after Catalina left. Yeah. They were just kind of like, okay, well, this is done. Nobody's dying today. Fuck. Damn it. I wanted some action. But yeah, I'll have to, I can send you the little list of the people that I have that I sent to them, or if you want to just have it introduced in character as we go, we can do that too. But she would know at this point, I feel like. She would know the key people that are
I mean, if you
want
to send me like the more important that would make sense for her to know, that's fine.
Yeah, which is just a handful of people that I sent them of like, these are like the people that you need to know about.
This month, and I guess is this the last of the month? This next one? Yeah.
Yep.
This is going to be the last of the month, so probably getting some XP.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop,
Oh
whoop.
my.
So I'm definitely gonna get a few things, even because like if I'm starting to do the melee weapons, and I feel like she would try to like just talk to as many kindred as possible and understand a little bit more of like the occult part. So I definitely want to like start adding to that. Knowledge on the occult, like always, is very good.
For me, I'm going investigation. That's why I've been trying to investigate poorly, but trying.
Makes sense.
I wanted to put it in investigation because, bitch, investigation is the main thing that like really you do. But it wouldn't make sense as of now.
Well, not only that, but I feel like with you two, like with Eden and Sparta, they could probably focus on other things because they have Colette and Alejandro, who were both police officers in their previous lives.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
And they have really high investigative skills. So it's like...
True.
If you can't investigate, unless it's just something that you want to do, like you want your character to be doing those things because it's fun, then cool, yeah. But like the necessity isn't necessarily there. Like there are two other people in your group that you can rely on to have really high investigative roles. Like Colette's is even higher than Alejandro's. So,
and we've literally not asked her to investigate anything.
Nope. And it's so funny because all of the situation, well, not all of them, I shouldn't say, but like, for instance, when you guys were in the hotel room that one time investigating that scene, your goal of being there was not to investigate that scene. So Colette understood your mission of being there. She understood that the mission was just to show up, pretend like you're investigating, and see if anything comes from it. It wasn't to actually investigate and to actually get any information from the scene. And that's why Colette had no interest. She was a homicide detective. She knows exactly what she's doing, investigating a scene of a homicide. So she very much would have been the best person in that situation to go into that hotel room and find answers. But she also understood the mission. it wasn't to find any answers. She didn't care. She didn't care what was in that room. She didn't care what answers were lying in that room because she understood the mission of why you guys were there, which is why she was chilling outside with her arms folded, leaning up against the car, talking to the cop the entire time. She pretended to do a quick little investigation and then went out and chilled with the cop because she knew why she was there. And I thought it was so funny because at one point, whenever Alejandro was like looking all through and trying to find all of this stuff and everything, and then even like Sparta's like, what did you find? Did you find anything? Like, you guys were so focused on like investigating that crime scene. And I thought it was funny because at one point, if one of you would have went and asked Colette, she'd have been like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, that's not why we're here. Like, I don't care what evidence is in that room. Like, Lindsay didn't send me here to investigate a crime. She sent me here to bring Eden. Not even me. It doesn't have anything to do with me. She wanted Eden to show up here and see if anything happened. So no, I'm gonna stay right here, but you guys have fun investigating. Like, but at no point, like, no one asked her. So, but I was like ready for that to happen and be like, guys, why are you wasting your time? Who cares? Like, because she knew there wasn't even going to be any follow-up with that actual crime. There was a whole different team that was like working on that and assigned to that. And she understands that and she knows that, but it's like, you guys are so new to like the coterie and like this kind of work that
we were gung-ho as hell.
Yeah. And she just lets you go and she's just like, whatever, like, you're totally focusing on the wrong things, but I'm gonna let you go and I'm gonna let you figure that out. Have fun, as long as you're not bothering me and don't fuck anything up in the process. And that's kind of how she is with a lot of things. Like, you guys kind of get off course a lot, and then Colette's like, well, let's get back to the reason we're actually here, and what we're actually supposed to be doing. And
Yeah, no, that's why, like, again, like, I feel like Eden immediately was like, room? No, I'm just gonna go around and kind of like walk around and like check out the spot and like be like, what's up? I'm here. I'm
Right.
Eden. Like, yo,
look at me.
I'm outside. What's up?
Yeah.
And like, I guess like at that point, we hadn't faced the purists yet. It was right before.
Yep.
So we weren't aware of the fact that they are developing these weapons that could be very, very dangerous. And like Memzi's character Alejandro like pointed out, they're like, well, if they have like a sniper rifle or something like that, like, we're fucked. Because they can just be like following us, like seeing us, and then prepping themselves in a like, you know, position where we wouldn't ever see it coming.
Right. Exactly.
So like a vampire like me, I don't have fortitude or potence or anything like that. I would be, even if I'm like an 8th generation powerful quote unquote vampire.
Yeah.
Kindred. So
Yeah, for sure.
It's like,
and I think that Colette's like approach, it kind of goes back to like what we were talking about earlier of like the roles that everybody fills. And I feel like she fills this like kind of like a nurturer in the way of like, she's always trying to like keep everybody on course, but she's going to like let you kind of figure it out. Like she's not necessarily going to reprimand you like her. I feel like a good representation of who she is how she interacted with Alejandro when he was like blaming himself for what happened. And she's like, yeah, we can acknowledge that it was your fault. But what are you going to do with that? And that's kind of like how she always is with everyone. Like, we can acknowledge that maybe you've been focusing on the wrong thing, but how can we use that to our advantage? How, you know, and that's like how she kind of always is. Like, she's going to let you kind of find your own way, and she's going to be there with you and for you, but she's not going to tell you how to do it. Unless, like, things get real spotty, then she'll probably be like, okay, focus.
Yeah. Hello, we gotta, like, go back.
Like she did when Sparta got shot. She immediately took control of the situation. She was telling people what to do. Eden, go do this, figure this out. Like, that's how she is. Like, she'll take control if things needs to be taken control.
Time. Like, for that, she just
no,
like,
I meant when
Colette said,
told Eden to start looking around.
She was right there, and then she wasn't there anymore. But yeah, like, but Eden, like, as it being a fairly proactive and eager, like, kindred as of now, like, she immediately was like, okay, what should I do? Like, what do I do?
Right.
But it's funny, like, one of the things I really, really like about Colette is that, like, at the beginning, she was very distant. She was very, like, the approach was very cold. There was, like, this immense, like, thick, cold wall of, like, this kind of badass that kind of, like, sits back and little judgmental, harsh, like you said before, abrasive sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, she's, like, so straightforward that sometimes it's like, okay, like, maybe, like,
lay off
Chill.
a little.
you have used a little bit more tact in all of this situation, but okay, like, I get it. But, you know, as we've gotten to know her and, like, interact with her and share these moments, like, you really see her nurturing, like, side, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
And it definitely seems like she's warming up to us, and that's coming out more.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you also have to remember, excuse me, the first night when she was there, she didn't want to be there, like, at all. The only reason she was even there is because you guys previously fucked up. And in her mind, she was just there as, like, a babysitter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she, and in a way, probably that first night, she wasn't even probably taking her role that seriously. Because she was like, I'm going to be here for, like, one night while they do the, like, just to watch them and see how things go. But now she's realizing that her role is turning into possibly a more permanent one. And now she's kind of taking it more seriously and realizing, like, I have to work with these people. You know, like, the first night, she's like, I gotta just be here to make sure everything goes okay, and then I'm done. But then obviously, you know, things changed. So
but like you said, the whole thing about it, like, it's like she said, right? It's like the approach. She's like, she still doesn't necessarily want to deal with all this bullshit, honestly. Like, again, Eden is annoying. Like, the drama, the Alejandro drama is annoying. Like, Sparta's being, like, a freaking
stupid
tank, like, is annoying.
Leroy Jenkins.
You know, she could have, like, chosen to just, like, keep that cold front up.
Right.
But she chose not to. And I think, like, again, like, it just shows, like, this almost opposite side to what she presents herself as. And I mean, that's what makes a good character, right? Because people are not, like,
one thing
unidimensional.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many layers and facets to people.
Absolutely.
You know, like,
Exactly.
and there are, like, the kind of, like, things that are, like, fighting each other, like, two instincts that are completely opposite and, like, really clash, you know? Like, I fucking go through that every fucking day. I understand, you know, as a human being. So yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah, I felt like it was necessary, especially coming off of the comments of Alejandro with when he was like, oh, at least I know who I am, or whatever, at least I haven't forgotten where I came from, or whatever the fuck he said. That did strike a nerve with her, and that's what inspired the speech of what she said, like, because she was like, I know who I am. I'm confident in who I am. I embrace who I am, but I also know that I can't just blindly be who I am. Not if I want a place in this city. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was her whole speech was centered around her love for this city and what she has found there, not who she is as a person. Like that played a part in it as well a little bit, like behind the scenes, but like her main focus and point of what she was trying to get across, and probably even why she did kind of drop that guard of I'm just this abrasive badass, is I love this city and I love the people in this city, and like she said, I will destroy anything that threatens to take that away from me. Mm-hmm. And that she takes that very seriously because she knows she's an outsider. You know what I mean? Like she understands that. She's felt the weight of that, just like Sparta and Alejandro are feeling. And she understands that, but she has found a place here and she is going to protect that.
And she fought for it.
Right.
So like, of course she's gonna feel super protective and
exactly
also proud. Like of her own position.
She said that I have a home that I'm proud of. Like it took me a long time. It took time. It took effort. And I'm proud of the home that I've built here. And I will Mack truck anything that steps in the way of taking that away from me. Even that if that's you. You're like, you know what I mean? That's kind of what her message was, is like anything that threatens to take that away from me. Because that's how much she cares about this city and, like I said, the people in the city that she has, you know, lived with for this amount of time, and she takes it really seriously. So I feel like that transition is why that transition kind of happened for her, and she's like, okay, yeah, like you guys don't really know who I am, so let me just show you a little bit more of who I am, and maybe you can understand where I'm coming from. And that was like her whole goal of like being more vulnerable. She's not always going to be that vulnerable. Like that's not who she is at her core, obviously. I feel like naturally she is more that like abrasive, you know, sometimes hard to talk to person, but she does have that other layer. And especially whenever it comes to her home and people like Ashley, like she would probably kill you if you put Ashley in danger. Like there's just no joking with that kind of stuff for her, because she's gonna, if it means she dies, she will die in the process of protecting those that she loves and cares about. And that's what she wanted to convey. This is the love I've found here. This is what I found here, and there is a place for you here too if you want it, but you have to want it, and it's going to take some time and it's going to take some effort.
Yep.
And when you put in the time and the effort, there comes a level of being proud, like I said, that when you spend the time fighting for something, because it could have been easy for her to just leave and go to another city where there's more brujas and it's more her style, and you know, like, she probably doesn't agree with the Camarilla half the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not who she is as a Bruja. And it's probably been really hard for her to kind of go against even herself and, like, what she naturally is drawn to. But she thought it was important. Right, exactly. And that says a lot, I think, about her as a character. And what she's done to kind of find her place in the city. She didn't take the easy route. And like fucking Alejandro's like, she has a clan here, like talking about Eden. Like, is that a fucking, you can't just go get a library card. Like, it's not that easy. Like, yeah, of course it's easier, but every clan in that area has like their own little process of like accepting who lives there. They're a very tight-knit city. So
like, oh, you gotta have a resume, you gotta do an interview.
We'll possibly call you back for a second interview, see how it goes. Introduce you to a few people, see how you vibe with them. It's a whole thing. But yeah, which is going to be funny and interesting to explore with Eden. Because Eden does have a lot higher of a chance of actually residing in this city than Sparta and Alejandro do. She doesn't necessarily have to have permission to be there in the same way. So...
True.
And she doesn't always have, like, right now, she is living with the coterie. That might not be the case for the entire time. She might get welcomed into that territory and be like, okay, let's find you a place. And she has her own place to live. You know, but you guys are in a little bit of a unique situation right now because you don't really have a place that's your own. So you're going wherever you're kind of allowed to go.
Yeah, we're going where we're told, basically.
Yeah. So that'll be something fun to kind of explore with Eden at one point of her getting her membership card. Be like, hey, Ashley, could I, like, live here? I really like you, and I kind of want my own place. Like, could you imagine, like, sharing a space with these people?
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be a funny conversation.
I'm like, I am kind of sick of the drama, you know?
We don't always stay at the nicest places.
Mm-hmm.
I really would love to decorate my own place.
Like, I have a storage full of stuff
Just a bunch
that
of
I
shit.
already have. Just bringing it over.
Poor Lev. He's going to be doing
Organize
so
that.
many, like, so many
Just
chores.
Like, oh my god, this fucking bitch. If she asks me another thing, I'm gonna screech.
Which Lev is
But I
another
won.
really fun character that I want you guys to know more about. He hasn't played a big part, but he is a big part for Lindsay. He plays a really big role for her. So he's going to be a fun character
like,
to
it's
develop.
Not known, or at least like I guess like Eden assumes that he's a kindred, but I don't know. He might be a goal too. Like,
Yeah, at this point, it hasn't really come out in character what he is.
yeah,
So he could be either one,
yeah.
for all you guys know. Could just be under the control of Lindsay by the power of her blood.
I mean, already, yeah. Blood Bond 3, level 3. Like you're
True.
pretty much like you would sacrifice yourself for this person.
Yep.
So
You would indeed.
Sounds like a sappy love song, to be honest.
Old country song.
Mhm.
Yeah, Love is a important character, but we haven't dived into anybody's really story. But I mean, it's only been the 3rd week, so
yeah,
we haven't really had time for like side stories. We've been mostly focused on you guys as a group, which makes sense. As time goes on, we'll start diving into like little side stories more and different characters developing that make sense to be there. Because really the only interactions you've ever had with Lindsay, with Lev being there, really Lev, this is the first time Lev has even talked to you guys.
yeah. He's
Um,
always been there, but like we hadn't heard him speak at all.
Yeah, which I was like, I am not gonna try to do this like manly voice. Hey guys.
Like all the other episodes, he was just in the background.
Yeah. He's always just kind of like been there as like a bodyguard type of thing. But he definitely is more than that. So that'll start showing up and being more apparent as more interactions happen. Which I feel like it's been pretty natural transitions, maybe progression. That's what it progression of like the characters, and like obviously the more you meet with Lindsay, the more you're gonna learn about her, the more you're gonna learn about the people that are always kind of around her kind of thing. Just makes sense that that's going to progress as you guys meet with her more and more. I think that, which I know, and I'm obviously not going to reveal, but I think it's funny that every time you guys meet with Lindsay, Colette stays back and talks with Lindsay, and I think it's funny that like no one has really like cared or been like, what are you guys talking about?
I've
Like,
been seeing it. I've been noticing it. I see all that shit. Like, Eden might not talk, but she's smart.
She's
like,
noticing.
Again, like, she has insight. I got insight and awareness, like, for that very reason, because I'm like, well, you know, like, it makes sense.
Yeah, she would
Out
pay
of
attention to
character, I've
that.
noticed, but in character, my character wouldn't even care.
Yeah.
But I definitely noticed it out of character.
It's just like,
yeah. I agree. I feel like Eden is really, maybe Alejandro, because he does seem like a little bit like a skeptical type. Like I feel like he would like question people's motives. So I feel like Alejandro and Eden would be the two that would like kind of pay more attention to that. Sparta would be like,
He would notice it, but he just wouldn't care.
he'd be like, whatever. Maybe they were just catching up.
And that's
Pretty much.
exactly, you know, now that you say that, that's exactly why Alejandro didn't go check the vehicle again. Because it's like, okay, these guys stepped out of the front. They haven't even been in the back at all. So let me check the front door. And then when, you know, Little Miss, trying to make things obvious, says, why don't you check the back? Why didn't anyone check the back? I'm like,
yeah, and nobody answered.
I
Nobody
answered.
motherfucking answered. Like,
yeah, smart.
I answered and got blown the fuck up.
yeah, well, you didn't answer. You just reacted and went and did it. Like, but there was no answer. Nobody, like, told me why. Like, I just asked a question. Sorry. Again, on brand.
I
You
did
didn't
think it
ask
was.
questions.
I did think it was cute after I got blown up. I got back to the car. You're like, okay, you're impulsive. So am I. Next time, just take 10 seconds. Think about shit.
Let's hold each other accountable.
Yeah, let's be accountability buddies.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. How Eden's like, okay, this has got to stop.
Yeah,
And Sparta's
just
like, we'll
stop.
try.
We'll try. I have a feeling Sparta's gonna do some more impulsive shit before he kind of gets a grip on that. There'll be
Definitely.
more explosions of some sort.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about the Purist group and having that threat in the mix? Because obviously Isaiah is a whole, obviously we don't know in character if it's connected or not, but it originally kind of started where everybody's suspicions was that Isaiah was doing these things and kind of causing these issues. But now we have this other threat, and we're trying to figure out, is this the same threat or are there two different threats? So how do you guys feel about having that like extra layer of this radical group that's been thrown into the mix?
I like it. It's definitely more mysterious and adds more layers to the whole thing. And it provides, like, with what we're planning with the whole, what was it, thesis undercover thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely makes it more fun.
I think it's gonna be interesting seeing how Eden comes out from that one, because there are concerns that Alejandro has. I'm not gonna reveal them, but he has concerns. That's as far as I'm gonna take it.
I feel like Alejandro always is concerned about something, though.
I was about to say the
Hey,
same
hey.
shit. I was like, Alejandro
He
is always
hasn't
concerned.
trusted anybody's plan at
No.
all.
Nope.
So I feel like he's never gonna trust that somebody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And Sparta has some pretty funny suggestions coming up.
Oh god.
Oh boy.
Perfect.
What about you, Finn?
Yeah.
What do you think about this
I mean,
radical, weird religious group?
it's
don't even know if they're
always
religious.
been a thing. In the lore, obviously, like there has to be a balance, right? But yeah, no, they're scary because like outside, sorry. The thing is, these people have like these weapons, and like we didn't have this, like Kindred didn't have this problem until now, pretty much. It's
Modern
like
age,
coming
yeah.
up. So, it's like it's interesting for Eden because it's like, okay, like I should be this, immortal, strong, supernatural being, and then I'm thrown into a situation where it almost feels like, yeah, we have all these powers, but like there are ways for them to exterminate us with like a few hits, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely scary. She does want to like figure it out, but like as it's an association, how the fuck do you handle that?
Mm-hmm.
Like for me as Fenice doing my meta mental shit, like, I'm like, okay, like somebody can blood bond, somebody inside the association get rid of the super fanatic dude. Maybe like I thought about it, I was like, if Eden understood a little bit more, maybe like blood bond Judith to like, be kind of an insider if she is, because we still don't know.
Right.
That's going to be the next step. But again, like I can't do anything. It's like my meta mind is definitely like being like, okay, like I have enchantment too. That shit is pretty OP. To influence people. So, we'll see how it plays out. But like I'm excited. I think it's like a very real threat. I'm curious to like know if like again the whole thing is correlated too, because like we're supposing it is, but what if it's not? Yeah.
Were you expecting a threat like that with a like radical group that's like able to kill vampires? Were you expecting something like that to happen so quickly?
Definitely not. I thought we were going to be focused on Isaiah and like another kindred.
That's fair.
Yeah. Same for me. Like
and then
I was
all
like, okay,
fire bullets are flying, and like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I think we did discuss like last time on here, like that collectively, like all us players like thought that one of the most shocking moments was the revelation of like this organization that is present and is hunting us. So yeah, definitely
gotta get rid of Eden.
On our toes.
Eden's gotta go. She's the one who started all of this. Which is a very real threat to Eden, Catalina could come to that conclusion and be like, hey, this shit didn't start until you showed up. So,
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Bye.
Get the fuck out. You're
I don't know.
fired.
Get the fuck out. Like, probably like decapitation.
Get
would
rid
be,
of this
like-
problem.
Yeah.
Not like have a
Gladly.
nice life.
Hmm.
But that is like a very real thing, like a very real conclusion that Catalina could come from or come to from all of this. She could be like, look, you know, you're not worth more alive. We thought that you might be able to help, but you've done nothing but bring more of a bigger threat. We can deal with a vampire. Like, we can deal with that. We can deal with a kindred on the loose turning people when they shouldn't. That's no problem. I could do that in my sleep. But we got people shooting fire bullets. Not necessarily something that I want to deal with. So
Yeah. I mean, again, like, you know, Eden has been thinking about this.
that's why she's
like,
trying
she's
to.
trying so hard.
Please don't kill me. I'm worth it.
Yeah.
I want to live.
I want to live.
Yeah, which is probably another thing that's crossed Ronaldo's mind. He's as he was standing there mesmerized by the fire bullets, he's probably like, I'm the one who said they should keep this bitch. Now we got these people showing up saying, we just want the girl. Pow, 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 fire bullets. Like, you can have her.
Oh,
Yeah, like, just take her. It's fine.
Ronaldo's like, I ain't trying to fight with that. You're crazy. And it's so funny because Ronaldo is very powerful. And the shit that he could do, it would come in handy in combat, but like not in the same way of like someone like, well, really any like Sparta, Colette, and Alejandro. They're very strong and like very fast with what they can do. And even Eden, she doesn't have all of her stuff unlocked yet. She doesn't know what she can do, but even with just the little things that she knows that she can do right now, but he doesn't typically use his abilities in those ways. So that's why he reacted the way that he did that night, because it's not really in his nature to run at a fight. You know, he would like kind of be defense. Like if a fight was coming to him, then he could be ready and prepared and turn your blood into poison that boils from the inside out and kills you. Super dope shit. Dope voodoo shit. He can literally turn your blood. The whole thing of him turning his blood into a poison is a thing. But he can look at a person and make their blood turn into like a hot poisonous like something
Corrosive, like, yeah.
and kill them from the inside out. Like he doesn't even have to move.
Super fun.
He just has to stand there. So I'm just like, he can do some crazy shit, but that's not really his what he usually does with his
nature.
abilities. He just wants to do like voodoo rituals in the backyard with Imani and live in peace.
sounds about right for Ronaldo.
Yeah. He was not ready for those big adventures. I don't think anybody was. His whole job was to identify a threat. And he's like, I did that. Now, I think my job here is done. My job is not to eliminate the threat, just to identify it. You're welcome. I'm going to go home to the farm now.
He's like, I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah, no.
No.
And then, of course, everything that happened. I thought it was funny how I like worded it when Lindsay was like, Imani is no longer comfortable with Ronaldo's involvement. Like,
Yeah.
like he's gonna get hurt. Like, and she's not okay with that. Oh, and you're also not welcome in her territory anymore. Hello, Mr. Big. What's up? Thank you for the follow. We're getting close to the wrap up time.
Yes.
Oh, another follow. Hello.
Did we have any questions from Finn's
No.
stream?
No.
All right.
I don't think so. I did see people asking questions as they went, and then Jess and BD kept telling them to like submit a question, but they never did.
And like nobody did. No.
So sorry, Charlie. Can't answer your questions unless you
Yeah,
put
and I
them in there.
I didn't really like have time to go through like the stream to like look at it.
Right. Any last thoughts? Anything that you're excited to happen next week?
Definitely looking forward to the whole undercover thing that's going to be fun.
With Eden.
Yeah.
So we all four of us every week we stream a session of Vampire the Masquerade. It's a role-playing game over on Fenice's stream. We do that on Saturdays. And on Monday nights, we talk about our previous episode. So that's what we've been talking about this whole time. We just talk about what happened and kind of, because in the session, we don't really acknowledge chat. We talk a little bit in our breaks, but most of it is just focused on the RP that we're doing. So this gives us like time to talk about everything and answer any questions and things like that. So that's what we're doing right now. And we're just kind of wrapping up here because we're almost done with our discussion of the day. I'm also excited for that whole phone conversation and what may come of it. So yeah, I think that it might lead to some interesting things.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm excited. I've been thinking about it. I'm gonna obviously in character pitch my ideas and kind of like what I've been thinking about. And yeah, I think like I'm excited to like prove to the group that like she can like be like very important to this whole investigation. That's like what she's trying to do, and that's kind of why she got super excited whenever she's like, oh yeah, I had this idea, like undercover thing. And then like Lindsay was like, oh, you know what, yes. And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna prepare the whole backstory and like think about the name and like what university she's at and like what she's doing and like all these things. And like,
I thought it was really cute how like excited Eden got whenever Lindsay was like really affirming of her idea. And I'm like, yeah, that's a really good idea. Like, yeah, I like that approach and everything. And Eden's just like, oh my God. Like, Lindsay likes my idea.
look around and be like, you see this? You see this shit?
In your face, Alejandro.
Your fucking face.
Yeah, it was funny. It was a good idea, though. Like, for real. It was a good approach to do, for sure. What about you, Mibsy? Anything you're excited for, looking forward to?
I mean, to see how things goes. Because, you know, the funny thing about undercover work is if you're say the wrong thing, your cover is blown. and that's like, and that I feel like it's gonna be a role thing if the cover gets blown or not.
Oh, I'm sure Eden has watched plenty of Cops, and she'll
The th-
tell you all
Oh
about it.
God, no.
the thing is like, obviously we'll see how the role play goes, you know, and we'll play it based off of that. But the fact that Eden is doing this and she's skilled in the things that she's skilled in, I don't think it's going to be very hard for her to pull this off, because this is what she does for a living. This is what she's built an entire career on, performing, being somebody that she's not. So the fact that she is the one doing it, I think that if anybody else in the group was doing it, they wouldn't have the skills to pull in that she does in that sense. Like, not even Colette and Alejandro in their experience, because just because you're a police officer doesn't mean you can act, doesn't mean that you can, you know, have the same skills that an actor can have. You're pulling from totally different skill sets.
Yeah.
So the fact that she's fulfilling that role, I do think that it's not going to be very hard for her to pull it off and be convincing, because like I said, this is what she's built an entire career on, is performing.
Sparta definitely recognizes that. That's why he always hands her the phone, because he definitely doesn't want to talk to anybody on the phone, and he knows Alejandro is just a dick. So he always hands her the phone. Is like, you call him.
Oh no, you guys have not seen Dick yet.
We'll see, because like if Alejandro gives her any freaking like attitude about this fucking undercover shit, and I know that it's gonna happen. I know it. Like, I feel it in my fucking bones that this is gonna happen.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Like,
she's not gonna take it very well, because again, it's like, you know, her, like, it's like when he reacted about like her being like, hey, like, but are you really that great? Like, you know, like, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. It's like, you know, putting in question like your own, like, your thing.
Yeah.
You know, your specialty.
That was something that, you know, Alejandro could have exploded at that point. Like, Alejandro, I could have, you know, exploded, but at the same time, there was one thing that Eden said the last session, that will Eden find out, or will the attitude show it? Because she said something that really dug in, and more than anything, like, more than, you know, him getting mad, it was like, okay, I already had a little respect for you in the first place, but you just said the worst thing you could say to someone. And that just completely dropped to the floor now.
Again, like, she's kind of tired of like having to defend herself. She already knows that she has a lot of weight, and like, she doesn't need somebody to like be on her fucking dick all the fucking time. Like Colette said, like, I've been, you know, in this for 3 nights. Like, fuck off. Like, I'm doing, honestly, if we want to compare the facts, she's doing
way better.
Much better.
It's so true. It's so true.
So in her mind, she sees that. She's like, hello? Like,
if we want to start comparing notes,
like, you can have all the fucking background you want, but like, these are the facts. This is like the evidence that is in front of everybody. So like, in her mind, yeah, her point is extremely valid.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm doing something and I'm really fucking trying. So again, get off my dick. You know?
So
you
just
keep attacking me, I'm gonna react. Yeah.
I'm waiting for a stronger reaction between them, because I feel like Eden has even kind of held back in her like reactions with Alejandro. So it's like I'm waiting for that situation to happen where like it possibly gets physical of like okay, I'm really tired of your shit. You think you're so fucking awesome? Well, let's see what you got. And like where Eden physically like challenges. He plays Alejandro really well because there were many instances where I wanted to hit him. Yeah, he definitely does play Alejandro really well.
But the thing is, like, there's so much more, right? We haven't been playing 3 days. There's so much more to unlock. There's so much more backstories on every character. Sparta's character, Eden, Alejandro, Colette. Everyone has their backstory, which we've touched a little bit, like nitpicking a little bit, but that's it. We haven't go into the full story. Like, for example, there is something that was shown a little bit. The only thing you guys know is that Alejandro asked for a baton. You guys don't know how dark his mind can get during an eventual interrogation, which I really hope we get to do soon. But you know, he has an attitude. He's a lone wolf in other cities. It's just part of who he is, right? Like if he was in other cities where there were more brujas, where you know his own kind was around, like. But right now he's in a place with a lot of people. Like he's in the place where, for example, with Eden, Alejandro is like, I don't like the perky, look at me type people to be nice, to say it nicely. You're like, no, just go over there. You're too fucking happy for me. You're too like just shut up, just shut up. And then you have Sparta. You know, he kind of reminds Alejandro a little bit how he is. You know, loner, like fuck off, and it's one of those things, right? You gotta have a certain dynamic with different dynamics with everyone, because if you have the same dynamic within a group and everyone's the same, it's gonna get boring eventually. Exactly. You gotta keep people on their toes. You know, if we were all friendly, you know, everyone's friendly, happy, Care Bears, fucking Teletubbies living together and happy and all that shit, it would get boring. It would get boring. I feel like it would get boring for us, and it would get boring for you guys, because it wouldn't have any it wouldn't have any fun effect for any of us. So you know, you got Sparta the peacemaker.
There was a couple of times where Alejandro started to push his buttons.
Yeah, but that's what he does. Like, and you will find out more about Alejandro as we play, and we will find out more about the other players as well. Because, like I said, we were literally just scratching the surface at this point.
Exactly. Like Dental said, he feels like there's not a lot of doesn't know enough about the everyone's backstory, but that comes with time. Like learning all of that is something that comes with time, but that's what's fun about roleplay, is like those things are more slow burn, happens over a period of time of learning the characters, and learning why characters are the way that they are. You know, if you knew everything right off the bat, it probably wouldn't be as enjoyable.
Because the characters are literally only on night 3.
Right.
And another fun thing about like role playing as well, like when you start, you don't need to have an extensive backstory from the bat. You really don't. You can evolve that as more than if you talk to people, and the more they ask, you can make shit up on the spot.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even because like it's not that you're gonna have like a full biography book about them. Like, you're
Oh,
not
cool.
gonna have, even if you do a detailed, like, description of like a page or a few pages or whatever, you're not gonna be able to cover everything. And like certain things can be brought up that you didn't even
Mhm.
think about.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. Like that's how it was
I
with
mean,
my main character that I did with GTA. Like I started with a good in-depth backstory of her, of like understanding who she was, what happened to her in her life up to this point. But there were so many things that developed along the way that like
I'm.
I had
I
never
mean, I
thought
think
about.
if I'm not mistaken, you like the basis of Alex. I think you actually were on the stream when I made him. Cause yeah, you were, because you were challenging me to make a good guy, because I was playing my Mexican character, my gangbanger, right? And you like, and I was asking chat, how do I make him? Make him a good guy. And I'm like, well, okay. So at that point, I made him on stream. I didn't have anything for him. Like a lot of the backstory that he has now is from people asking him questions, and me having to find out on the go. Like
Yeah.
this and this and this and that, and this and that.
Yeah, it's good to like know your character, but it's also good to allow the role play to affect your character and bring out points of your character that you possibly hadn't thought to develop, and just being adaptable to what's going on. That is what makes a really good character. Like for instance with Colette, how she reacted and presented this really vulnerable moment in reaction to something that happened. Like I could have just kept her this closed off, bitchy, abrasive person, and we could have just kept going with that as her personality. But there's moments that you can take an opportunity to show more of your character and show more depth of your character, but that's just up to you to take those moments as a role player. Like, how is this going to affect my character? It's like finding their inner good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like they have a harder time because they have to deal with the beast,
Right.
the hunger.
Exactly.
Like,
brings a whole different level.
Yeah.
Also, just to put this in perspective, I know this is but this is how my brain works. I've been thinking about this whole time. When it comes to Eden and performing and her being the best person for this role, just to put this in perspective, her role for this, if it turns into roles, will be double what anybody else in the group can do because of her abilities and what she has skills in. So it's like, she most definitely is probably the only one that will be able to pull it off in the way that she'll be able to pull it off. Because like Colette and Sparta are basically useless in this particular situation. The only one that would come close would be Alejandro, just because his charisma is a little bit higher. But even still, like, it doesn't compare to the skill that Eden has. So I have a lot of confidence in Eden pulling this off.
The only thing I say, if it goes into role, I hope you do not have the same first role that I had when we started this campaign.
Yo, I have like charisma
out the ass
4 and persuasion 4, performance 4. It really depends on like what I need a role, but like it's a good
you got a lot to work with.
Like, just cover some like awe, for example, that could be something that might come up, just because she's trying really hard to like charm whomever she's gonna end up talking to in person.
Right.
So
we're definitely just back up.
Yeah. Colette knows talking isn't her thing, so she's not even gonna try.
Right. I'm still gonna hand Eden guns constantly.
She's like, if you need me to fight somebody, I got your back. If you need me to talk to somebody,
nah,
probably not the best person to throw into that situation. I think Colette would probably make it worse.
I think all three of us would make it worse.
Yeah, in your own ways.
Here actually a question just came up.
Mm.
That like, would it be any situation from the last episode where you kind of regret not activating your powers? Was there any situation in the last RP that you kind of like, fuck, I could have activated this and maybe
No,
this would turn?
because I always use my powers.
I mean, technically, I
True.
did accidentally.
I'm like,
True.
you know, nobody's teaching me, so I'm gonna just figure it out myself. And, you know, as her character is perfect as a human to become like a Toreador and use those skills, which are already, it's like an increased like version of what she was working on. Performance, awe, like, you know, charming people, like being super gracious and fast, and like, you know, because it's essential for a performer, you need to be in your body, you know, like you need to like do that and be able to do all of that. Like acting comes from your body language as well, and you have to be aware and have like a good, you know, hold of it. And plus working in the, you know, entertainment industry, she would probably like be physically a little bit athletic at least, you know. And then again, like Auspex is just all the awareness, like, you know, being connected with your surroundings and like always seeing things and hearing things. So for her it just makes sense. Like I thought it was like a really fit situation. And like, you know, I'm trying to, again, not meta, but like as things show up, I'm like, well, this is the perfect moment where like, you know, her abilities would be activated just because she's trying to do something.
Right. I feel like I can't really answer this question because I don't use Colette's abilities as much as they would be used, just because I don't want to be the one always like handling situations.
Yeah.
But Colette also, I mean, she is a little bit more tanky. That she's a lot like Sparta. She would come more in handy in like actual physical situations. So unless a physical situation were to take place, and she probably wouldn't get too involved in the action. But yeah, I tend to hold back anyway, just to like let you guys do your thing with your characters. I'm sure there'll be a point where she'll kind of step in when fights start to actually happen. We haven't had a proper fight. So
Yeah, we haven't yet.
no.
And like I
Because
said, a lot of mine are passive, so, and they've accidentally been used a couple of times already.
whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry, not sorry.
What about you, Mimsy?
Honestly, I was thinking about this. I think, yeah, last night, because you don't really have much time to think about it after the session, because, I mean, in all technicality, I feel like when the van stopped, you know, waiting, watching, Alejandro could have used Fleet and Dawn at that situation.
I was thinking about that too, but I couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had fleetness, but I knew she had fleetness.
I mean, Fleet is honestly because Alejandro did a lot of fucking running back in cop days, chasing bad guys.
I thought Eden was going to use fleetness to chase after him.
Nah, she saw that there were way too many people, and I mean, you know, like stupid, yes, impulsive, yes, but not like completely, I don't know, just, you know, there is a sense of self-preservation, you know. Like it wouldn't have made sense for her in that situation. I thought about it, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna fucking mech truck a fucking car. Like, no.
I mean, the interesting thing is if you would have done that, and it exploded the same way it did to Sparta, what would have happened?
Well, I meant once the guys got out of the van and had walked up the street.
Yeah, the two
That's-
guys. Like
Um,
I wouldn't know. Like, you know,
How
it
to
needs
stop.
two of them. Like I can mech truck one, but I can't do two, you know? Like, what if I mech truck one and then the other one is like shooting me? And I'm not like Sparta. I'm not like, you know, Steve's character. I'm like, I don't have much. Yeah, I don't have much stamina or strength. I have like good dexterity and good athletics, but that's it.
I think like I said, when I started thinking about this, I was like, I could have gone fleet and I could have used Daunt and stopped them. But then again, then there's the question of on the third guy. Because he came back, right?
Yeah, with the box truck, and
Yeah.
they all got that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there are many possibilities. Like, we don't know if those were the only three. You know what I mean? There could have been other people too. Like, you know, that's why Colette was like, no one's fighting. Like, we're just gonna go to an area, see what happens. If the fight comes to us, we'll respond, but we're not going to attack them because if this is who we think it is, we already know what they're capable of. So we're not gonna attack them. So that it was more of a let's see what happens, and if a fight happens, then yeah, it'll be a fight. But it wasn't a situation where Colette really wanted things to escalate. And that's what I mean with like Colette's role of how she steps in when she needs to step in and being like, no, we're not doing that. Like, this is what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like, she'll step in and take control if she needs to. Like, if it's going to lead to something that is going to lead to something worse, she'll kind of step in. And that's kind of like the role she has is like, I'll let you do your thing, but within limits. As soon as it starts to threaten, you know, me, then, okay, that's where I draw my line. Wait a minute. We're not going to do this impulsive shit.
It's time to start.
Yeah, it's time to chill.
But no, I think that I obviously with every roleplay situation, there's like tons of possibilities of how things could have gone differently. And it's just kind of interesting to see how decisions are made and how they affect situations like that, because that whole thing could have happened completely differently if you guys would have gotten out and tried to capture those two guys. Like, could have all gone completely differently. So
Oh yeah.
but that's the beauty of role play. You never know what's around the next corner.
Truth.
Well, I don't have anything else to add unless you guys do. So I think we're gonna go ahead and call it there. So you guys can join us over on Finn's channel on Saturday at 6 p.m.
Pacific Standard
6 p.m.
Time, so 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. And we'll be doing our next session with our lovely little vampires.
The fort.
Whoop whoop. It's been a whole month. It's so weird because it's been a month for us, but it's been 3 days for them.
3 nights.
So confusing.
Almost done with our first month.
I know. It's been super fun. So thank you guys for hanging out, asking some questions. being a part of the conversation. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on Saturday.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Adios.